Just in, baby dolls, Richard Hart has tweeted about incentive token Inc. for the first time in a long time, if ever. Incentive token now is being talked about because it's being pumped by someone. I don't know who it is. Maybe Mr. Brissology. Maybe it's somebody else out there. We don't know. The magic wand. Now, Inc. is the inflationary dump token, and it makes no sense for it to pump. And that's precisely why it is pumping. Let's read Richard's tweet to see what's going on and can we decipher anything that's going on here. So I've made a tweet here, okay? Me, incentive token, right? The topic on Richard Hart's mind today, as he mentions that Inc. is up 7x in 12 days. Now remember, Inc. is bonded with Pulse and PulseX in the yield farms. And here we have his post here today. So here he says, right? Inc., right, up 50% today and 7x in 12 days. But I didn't talk about it. Inc., the incentive token. It's very interesting, and here's why. It looks like half its only $70 million market cap is in PulseX liquidity pairs. Now, friends, I'm going to stop you right here. This is something you got to know. This is the first time I've ever heard Richard talk about market cap low being good. So this is just a reality you're going to have to get used to, friends. It's about onboarding people in the future. Yes, lower market cap numbers, when they are low, they are great marketing points. They're great for branding. And when the market cap is high, you say, nah, number doesn't matter. And it's true, right? I mean, look, they're both true in terms of if something has a low market cap, it doesn't mean it's going to go up. And if something has a big market cap, it doesn't mean it can't go up. Yes, but it's interesting just to see his marketing, right, and how he uses it. So that's Inc.'s marketing point. Hey, we're the lowest market cap coin and whatever. And then what do you do if you're the biggest market cap coin? You talk about its other bonuses. For example, Hex is native trustless yield. You don't have to worry about impermanent loss risk or anything else. Okay, you also have a community backing it and all these. It's also like the oldest premier chip in the ecosystem, and it might have the lowest volatility out of the pairs, right? Just guessing as we go forward going on, all right? Also, he mentions the only people that hold incentive token farmed it or got it from someone who did. The chart kind of looks like leverage on Pulse and PulseX. So here is his post here. We zoom in. It's just Inc. going up only. Just like, what's going on, man? This is green logo, no use case, dump token. That's it. That's enough reason to go up, baby. You know what I mean? Even come here, I have my message here. Send it. Send it. What's going on, friends? Just to let you know, the incentive token, the rumor, the speculation, is that it will be a governance token, which no one's excited about. But there's more to it than meets the eye. It could always be, he could always pull a rabbit out of the hat with this one. And it's bonded with PulseX. Okay, you're just going to see, friends. It's called incentive token, but it might be a duality of the play trick. It might be a genius name because incentive token, okay, what are you thinking? You are thinking, oh, incentive for you to farm and dump. Sweet. Well, what if he called it incentive token because of the duality meaning where he has an incentive to keep it pumped? Because the higher incentive token is, the higher the display yield is on the farming page, like right here. You can see this, PulseX Pulse, 12%. You can see these yield rates, friends. These are very, very juicy. Now, a lot of people out there, they say these are yields for ants. No, they're not. You see, this is yield from a dude who had a coin that did a 1,000x from the launch. That's right. Yeah, you can quote 10,000x from the low, and people will say, no, it doesn't count because everyone went off, so it doesn't matter. Did 1,000x from the launch date, okay? Did 1,000x, and he's got 220,000 ETH sitting there in his own wallets that we found, at least. And he might have 20,000 plus Bitcoin. And we have $600 million in the PulseChain sacrifice. And there's 68 streamers. And there's 140 content creators. And dare I say, it's still 10x away from flipping Cardano. It's like every piece of yield, every 1% yield in here goes a long way. Because if you think the upside from here is still a 50x, every 1% yield you earn That's 50% of what your capital is today. So if you have $10,000 in your portfolio today, every 1% yield you earn in that, if it's going to hit your target, that's equivalent to $5,000 in the future. That's every time you earn 1%. Isn't that huge? That is huge. So that's why we're looking at these yield farms. That's why I said maybe there is a duality with this, right? The incentive is for him to keep this thing going. Now, in most cases, what happens is the farm token gets dumped, and I'm going to show you. And to show you, I'm going to look at the Inc Pulse chart. So you can, this is it, Inc Pulse. Now, Inc PLS, friends, something interesting on here. See this green arrow? This is a 3-day chart. It's flipped green on the 3-day, and I made many posts about it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to play some some Habibi music for you. Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny, friends, if he, I don't know, or somebody just pumped this piece of trash all the way up here and just did something like that? Wouldn't that be crazy? That's why I've nicknamed this Richard Hart's meme coin, because it just fits the role. Meme coin. What do people want? Speculation. Okay, they want something that is never really fulfilled, never really completed, but there's kind of people around there, and you know, there's people hanging around and they're hoping things get done, and it's got a cool logo. And I mean, like, what better meme coin to find than something that freaking dropped minus 97%? So, you know, this is the Inc Pulse chart. On the daily, I mean, look how down only this is. My gosh. When it flipped green here, okay, these daily charts, they can always go up and down and flip around. You can't really rely on anything for that if you're actually gonna trade. Obviously, the most important one is the weekly, and the weekly is still red. So what would I do? This is just me. Look, I'm still farming it, friends, but you got to be prepared in case it does this. If it drops back down 50%, we got no one to blame but ourselves, because you're playing with the yield here, all right? You're playing with the yield and whatever. So the goal is, hopefully, this goes up to this point, it flips green, and then there's some sort of run up. If I change it to the US dollar price, just so you got an idea of what that looks like, that would be about, see, we're about $3.40. It would be closing a week around $5 and hopefully doing some sort of pump to the heavens. Now, I'm just drawing squiggly lines. Does it have to do it? No, it doesn't. But it does have these advantages, low market cap, etc. Now, okay, you're going to ask questions. Let's bring up the yield farms, because this is really, really critical. The yield farms, friends, the yield farms. Now, I saw one of the Hexagons, Mr. Marco, he had a post here. He was actually thinking the exact same thing I was thinking. He said it before I would type it, okay? And he predicted, he thinks incentive token will be pumped, and the next goal is to get PulseX to day one sacrifice. And see, I was thinking that too, and I knew, okay, if that happens, I guarantee there's going to be good news released at the top. So there's no free lunch for anyone. The only people who get rewarded with this are people who believe, which is us. You're still holding, all right? Because, you know, I was saying this to you last year. There were a few people who sold their PulseX at the lows, and they said, I'm going to buy back when there's limit orders and there's features and the upgrades. And I was making videos saying, look, I know it looks trash, but I don't think you're going to get this amazing good news for you to get free money and just buy in front of everybody else. I just don't think that's going to happen. And it looks like I'm going to be right on that one. Okay, so that's just how these things work. Now, if Inc gets pumped and the yields are flushed up and PulseX is back to day one sack, and maybe there's more media attention, more BitBoy coverage, more crypto banter coverage and all these, and more people bridging in and participating, if they want that yield, they've got to buy into Pulse and PulseX and Hex as well. And you also got to imagine, okay, would they do that? Yeah, because the coins are going up. They love buying green candles. But also Marco put in that the limit order upgrades, maybe more new yield farms will appear. That might be on the cards. It's tough to figure out a way how you can really benefit from that, friends. This gaming short-term stuff, it's really random because there is impermanent loss. I made videos about it. So these yields, of course, they look great, don't they? But these ones have stable coins. And your impermanent loss gets very nasty if one of your coins starts going up. Now you might think, oh, it's okay, I got your stable coin. It's in a bull market, the best thing to do is deploy those stable coins. Don't touch them in a yield farm. They shouldn't even be. Now, of course, most people just feel safe having them there just in case there's a downturn. I get it. But at the end of the day, you got to ask what you're playing for. Because if there's another bear market, I mean, it's game over anyway at this point. Okay, but don't let that, not giving you any financial advice. I know some people just sleep better with that. I'm just letting you know it's not as nice and free as you think, because the impermanent loss, the divergence is enormous. And you can go to CoinGecko's impermanent loss calculator. So for example, you're sitting there let's say you're sitting here trying to get these nice yield farms, like you're in USDC and Pulse. You think, oh wow, I'm getting 100% APR for the year, right? If it lasts that long. Well, what if Pulse goes up 10x? Look at your impermanent loss, friends. You've lost 44% of your coins. Ouch. Ouch. So if you put in 10 grand, let's do this. Okay, the real number is 66 million. If you put in 66 million Pulse and then $10,000 USDC and you put that yield farm in, if Pulse does a 10x from here, you've lost 44% of your coins. You don't have 66 million coins anymore. You only have 37 million. Ouch. At the top. All right. So you've only had 37 million. And if you just held those coins, you would have 100 plus 10 is $110,000. If you held them separately, you'd have $110,000. But because you would put this in the yield farm, you only now have $66,000. That's on the 10x, and look, a lot of people, they don't even know that it's going to happen to them. They're just going to see the prices went up and everything. But I think it's really important to think about it, because you can't rewind time if you screw this up. You can't go back and say, well, wish I did things differently. All right. Now, obviously, you hope the yield makes up for it. But hey, what if Pulse does a 10x in the next 90 days, 120 days? Your yield doesn't make up for that. And you've got to be DCA buying at higher prices to even make up for it, which most people aren't anyway. So that's the reality of the number when it comes to looking at these PulseX yield farms if you're dealing with the stable coins. But most people don't even care. They just want to come in. They don't care. They just think it's free money. But like, we're glad we went through this, right? And while we are discussing these, you've now pretty much, you've known. Now you can see the best thing to do, conclusion, is always the same. I promise you, there's always gimmicks and these like formulas and all these. The best thing to do, friends, is buy and hold every single time. Buy a long shot. In the future, you fast forward in the future, one buy, one sell, that's it. It crushes everything. Everything else, what they try to do is you end up sacrificing a big chunk of your upside just for this like psychological carrot on a stick. It's like, oh, I'll get you yield on this part, or you don't kind of take a loss here and there. But friends, time keeps ticking. The world keeps spinning. The calendar keeps moving forward. The pages keep turning. Eventually, we get to that target. And yeah, you're going to look back at your coins and go, wait a minute, I was meant to have 66 million Pulse. I was meant to have $100,000 in here. Why have I only got 66,000, right? So this is the type of thing. And then it gets even worse if the coin keeps going up from that point. A lot of people, they flip out because their coins are being disintegrated. Basically, they're just losing their coin quantity and they just start puking out and they just do even worse things. So now you get to see the reality of the situation, but we need it. We need it. People want to play this game. So that's why I remember Richard Hart made Hex as the base money at the start. He didn't make these at the start. And now you get to see why. It's like he's told everyone. He goes, they're trash. They're trash games, okay? Let you get crushed. You make your little mouse eating cheese bit by bit by bit. You never end up killing it, friends. You never end up making the home run. You don't. You just don't. Now, putting all this together, you got the yield farms, long-term, outright, etc. I'm still participating in yield farms, but I'm in PulseX and Pulse, friends, because you can see the volatility of them is really low. And I'm just farming ink. And it's not the game changer. But what can you do? Now you know ink, flip this green weekly super trend. I personally, just me, I still don't feel comfortable gambling on something like this gambly, because it's just handed out as inflation. and the emissions still take time for it to halve. However, if it does play out, what will come next? What would come next is if Inc is up and there's bids on Pulse, PulseX, and Hex, and the whole ecosystem keeps going up, you would think naturally the ecosystem coins in PulseChain, the lottery tickets, are going to start getting more attention. Atropa, PDI, Teddy Bear, Poor Pleb, the Tang Gang again, right? These things will just take turns, right? So maybe us to be one step ahead, that's maybe what we have to look at, because obviously I've been farming Inc the whole time. I just don't want to touch it. And that's where I might be looking to disperse it into the ecosystem later on. But we never really know, right? What's coming ahead. I'm just glad the price is starting to recover. Let's see how high PulseX can go. Is PulseX going to go back to day one sack? Is that going to be the new soy boy rinsing zone? Perhaps, okay? So at least you know, right? To think one step ahead. You got Inc token moving. We're just starting to talk about it. Maybe it's upgrades coming. Don't let that impact anything. You still know this, it's the same game. You're still buying and holding. And yeah, paying attention to those lottery tickets is extremely important because their liquidity is thin as hell. But you just don't know which one's going to be the firecracker. You don't. That's why we need more people to be bridging into the ecosystem to come and play around. Because I tell you right now, there are thousands and thousands of people ready to bridge in, and they're going to buy the dirtiest, hottest altcoins. It's just that they need the spark. They need the torchlight, the lighthouse basically at night to tell them, oh my God, this is the place to go. That's why maybe we're thinking incentive token is being moved up first so that we can entice all those people with the yields, because that's the best marketing at all. It's like, hey, do you like yield farming? Do you have stable coins? Come and get 200% APR. Right, so this is, it's not for you and me. It's a losing mugs game. And that's why I did the mathematics here for you, just to show you the financials of that. The people who do that, friends, they're losers, but you need them. They're the emotional money. So here you go. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you soon.